We are live on this Thursday morning. Myself, Coach Dezi. We're going to be discussing Kyle Shanahan. Can he get the 49ers over the hump, or is he kind of plateauing right now? Does this season feel at all like 2020? I don't want to be doom and gloom, but these injuries, they are mounting up. And Christian McCaffrey, he's going to Germany to help with his Achilles. And Coach Dezi is the one that's going to discuss everything pertaining to it because she has done this procedure. So we're going to talk about all that and more right here on the Eric Crocker Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crock Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the Eric Crocker Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL. You see, I finally got my jerseys hung up in the background. Some of them. I got another one right here. I got one of my kids I trained jersey over there. I'm excited. The outfit's kind of coming around just a little bit. But anyways, of course, I am here on this Thursday joined by Coach Dezi. We're going to talk about injuries, 49ers, all that. But first, of course, you guys, you have to download the app. Underdog Fantasy, or go to underdogfantasy.com right now and use promo code Crocky. I think today on the X app or Twitter at Crocky209, not at Eric_Crocker, at Crocky209. Go there. I'll be doing a giveaway, giving away $50 to 2 random Underdog Fantasy. Use it yourself. If you don't have Underdog Fantasy, go get Underdog Fantasy right now. And download that and use promo code Crocky. Promo code Crocky as seen below on the screen. I think I'm a little more amped up for a couple reasons. One, the Cowboys and the Giants play tonight, and I just love watching football. So I'm excited to go watch football, be able to play some Underdog Fantasy, make games a little bit more exciting. I got a jam-packed day. I'm going to work out. I'm getting my boxing workout in. I'm just ready to go, and I'm ready to talk some 49ers football with Coach Dezi. And Coach Dezi, I feel like I'm supposed to be the person to lift everybody's spirits. I'm supposed to be the one to lift everybody's moods, but I can't do that right now. I'm feeling a little down with how the 49ers are doing, where it almost feels like they're heading. I need Coach Dezi to talk me off of this ledge. All right, we're going to start with Kyle Shanahan. Do you believe that Kyle Shanahan is the guy for the job to get the 49ers over the hump? And when I say over the hump, because I've been asked this question, how do 49ers get over the hump? I'm like, fool, they be in the Super Bowl, they be in the NFC Championship game. Like, what do you mean get over the hump? But right now, it feels like you reach that, like, okay, this level of success, you're so close to the Super Bowl, and then it's like, nah, let me pull that back, and now I'm gonna make your whole team get hurt. So maybe that's not Kyle's fault. But do you think Kyle is the guy to help them get over the hump right now?
I think he's the best option. I mean, what else are we going to go to, right? I think he's got the intelligence for it. He has a connection with the players. I'm on this ledge with you, my friend. That's all I have to say. I'm on the ledge with you. I'm trying to muster as much positive energy in the universe. Yesterday was my birthday. I got my new Jauan Jennings shirt on.
Hold on. Happy belated birthday. See that? I didn't know that. I wasn't on social media. I missed all kind of stuff. Yesterday, apparently, it was National Daughters Day, and me being the bad father I am, I didn't even post my daughters. I didn't know anything about National Daughters Day. But today, now it was your birthday yesterday. I love this shirt. You talked about it. I said, what does that say on your shirt? What does that say on your Jauan Jennings shirt? And you said it says third in Jauan. I was like, man, on Sunday, he was third in everything. I mean, he was Jauan and everything. He was third in Jauan, touchdown in Jauan. I mean, all kind of nicknames for him. But is he somebody that can potentially help us get off that ledge? Because, like, hey, you're missing a lot of guys, but at least you have this guy stepping up right now.
You asked me like 2 weeks ago who I thought was going to be this, unsung hero. I forget what you specifically asked, but like, who's the dark horse? Who's the person on the offense and the defense that was going to like rise to the occasion? And there was a part of me that really wanted to say Jauan Jennings. Like I've low key always like over the past year or two been like, if we go to this guy on third down, like the most important down, and he always delivers, why do we not have first and Jauan or second and Jauan or touchdown and Jauan? Like, I should have said that. So sorry, JJ, my bad. But Definitely, I think he could be a bright light on this team, and he already has shown to be such this past season or this past game.
No, he definitely has. The 49ers falling to 1-2 against the Rams. You and I, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but for a team that jumped out to a lead, 14-0, and I felt like that's who the 49ers are, a team that they're getting stops on defense. They're playing well on offense. Things are clicking even with all these injuries. And then you see kind of just the collapse in the fourth quarter. I think that's the best way to kind of describe it. When you saw how that game ended, did that give you any less confidence heading into the next week, even against a team like the New England Patriots, who I feel like, New England Patriots, they're coming to town, 49ers, they should just run through them. And I feel like now, I don't know, it's like my confidence is kind of getting stripped a little bit. And not just because, the 49ers going out there, they're hurt, they're banged up. But it always felt like, they'll be able to kind of overcome this. You got Brock Purdy at quarterback. He's playing well. You still got Jordan Mason's running crazy. We saw what Jauan Jennings did. But do you think that these injuries that are mounting up with the 49ers may even kind of prohibit them from being able to run off on a team like the New England Patriots, who aren't one of the better teams in the NFL right now?
Anything is possible. Unfortunately, we lost another person on our defensive line. So now we're just getting chipped and fractured at different levels, at different sides of the ball. And so anything's possible. I mean, I really thought that we should have I was almost like 90% sure we were going to get a W against the Rams just because they were even more dinged up than we were. But, I'm still dumbfounded. I watched the game again yesterday on my birthday, which was probably the only good thing in my house is I was in the back room watching my game and my husband's in the front room watching his game. And we're both like, okay, in the beginning, we're both like, okay, our teams are rocking. We're doing good. Because for those who don't know, he's a Ravens fan, right? So the only thing was we were both having a downfall. We're watching our team just lose the lead and possibly lose the game. But unfortunately for me and my house, we took the L and his team still squeezed out 2 points ahead of his game. Yeah. So, yeah.
And ultimately, both of our teams were 1-2 at this mark. So the Ravens were fighting against going 0-3. Obviously, the 49ers trying to fight against going 1-2, but 49ers weren't able to do that. When you look at these injuries, does it have any feel from 2020? And if you guys don't remember 2020, the San Francisco 49ers in 2019 went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't know if the Chiefs have cursed us where they're like, all right, every time you guys play us in the Super Bowl, you guys are going to lose everybody the next year. I don't know if that's what they did. That's what it feels like. But you lost a lot of key guys. I mean, you lost Nick Bosa. Then Solomon Thomas wasn't like a huge key, but, he was a contributor. Deebo Samuel was banged up throughout that year. George Kittle was banged up throughout that year. There were a lot of injuries that the 49ers were dealing with throughout that 2020 season. And now that I look at this team, you aren't just losing or having guys that are injured. It is a key core group of guys that are missing games. And I was wondering how long you can sustain being able to overcome that. And heading into the season, no Christian McCaffrey. We'll talk about his injury in a minute. Deebo Samuel, he ended up having to miss a couple of weeks. You lost
George Kittle.
Who else? I mean, George Kittle. He's banged up, and it seems like a more week to week. I'd assume he played this week, but you kind of just never know. And then now you have Javon Hargraves. He's out for the whole season. There were some guys coming back from injury, like Talanoa Hufanga. Is he 100% himself? So there's a lot going on right now with the 49ers injuries. Drake Greenlaw, you don't have him on the field. Does it have 2020 vibes? Is that something that we should be bracing ourselves for? Like, hey, I know we had these high, lofty expectations, but right now, the team we were expected to take the field, that's not who's out there. Or do you say, you know what, they'll kind of weather through this storm that they're going through right now?
Okay, so this is the part where I can probably maybe walk you off the ledge a little bit here. So, yes, I think last week when we chatted, I mentioned that this was giving off 2020 vibes. So I definitely think this is starting off kind of like that. But the difference is I expect Deebo Samuel to come back. I expect George Kittle to come back. We lost Javon Hargrave for the season. We're going to have Christian McCaffrey is very suspect. I've been saying that all along, that even if he does come back, I don't expect him to be able to sustain or string together a huge amount of games, although I will stay hopeful. Jordan Mason has done a good job with filling in his shoes there. So I think it feels tough now. I think if we can just get to our bye week, recharge, regroup, the next couple of games, we're at home for a number of them. They're not intensely difficult teams. It doesn't mean that it still won't be a difficult win to get. Up until about the Chiefs game, I think that there's some possibilities to string together a couple of wins, even with our difficulties and injuries right now.
It's been tough to watch but I'd say there have been some bright spots, and one of them being Brock Purdy. So I haven't been able to talk to you about Brock Purdy and his performance. With how he played throughout that game, not having a lot of his key guys, not having George Kittle, not having Deebo Samuel, not having Christian McCaffrey. I mean, a lot of people wanting to see, what would he look like without having the Avengers? And it was almost like he made his own Avenger. Like, all right, okay, I'm losing these guys that you guys consider the guys, the all-pro caliber players, but I'm going to create my own Avenger in Jauan Jennings. But did his play give you more confidence moving forward that regardless of who's out there on the field, he's someone that really can run the show for the 49ers?
I'm so proud of that kid. I've always been a Brock fan from day one. And I'm really excited to see that he was able to put together some drives that looked really good. We've got touchdowns. The connection with Jauan Jennings was great. Saubert, hello, like he filled in a good, big shoes. He had big shoes to fill with the loss of George Kittle. So I think there were some good things to see. I think that thankfully, at least on my Twitter feed, I didn't see a bunch of anti-Brock Purdy comments. There was a lot more to focus on. So I was thankful for that, because I think he definitely earned his stripes on that game. And I do want to add Trent Williams, speaking of Avengers and superheroes, he's looking a little human, right? He's mustering out. He left at the end of the first half. I'm worried about my silverback, and Brock Purdy may also kind of know that. So the times that he was hesitant and scrambling a bit, I think he kind of felt maybe a little bit of pressure coming through, just, with the way that the pocket was collapsing around him. But with all of that said, all that pressure, all the stuff going on, he was still able to make connections and get us in the position to win that game. Unfortunately, we didn't.
Yeah, I thought Brock Purdy played very well. There were, and we discussed this on Locked On 49ers. You guys can tune in 5 days a week, listen to myself, Brian Peacock, on the Locked On Network. But we kind of discussed that game, and especially after the game, we're talking live. You have the fans in there in the comments, and we kind of discussed a couple of missed opportunities at some point on the show. And obviously there was the Brandon Ayuk one where Kyle Shanahan eventually explained what happened, where Ayuk had a curl route, but since there was a busted coverage, he converted it to a go, and Brock was a little unsure of like, oh, should I let it rip? Because he converted it to a go. And those are the things that, like, guys grow, like they grow a connection. They continue to discuss those things. It's tough because you like to discuss those things in the preseason or in the offseason and come together on that. Like, hey, if I have this curl, but it's a busted coverage, I'm going to convert it to a go and then just let it rip, right? Like, those are conversations that quarterbacks and receivers have. Well, these guys missing the offseason. They haven't been able to play a whole lot together. There's a lot of circumstances they haven't had. And those are things that I'd assume over the next 4 years, they get on that same page to where that's not something that happens again. So, you gain some experience from situations like that. But when you watch Brock, that was one. We also pointed out a really key third down play where I thought that Jauan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk cleared it out for Brock to throw that out to Eric Saubert that would have picked up a first down. And people like, it's just 2 plays. He's not perfect. And they're like, guys, it's not about being perfect. It is not about being perfect. We can acknowledge that he played awesome. He played awesome, especially considering the circumstances. The 49ers' expectations aren't to have an awesome season. It's to have a great season. It's to have an amazing season. And if I were to tell you right now, the 49ers, they had this great year, you'd assume they won the Super Bowl, right? Like, it's not just a good year, not just a turkey, like a great year. They won the Super Bowl. And to win the Super Bowl, it's plays like that you have to capitalize on. It's plays like that you need to keep the drives going in the biggest moment of the season, because those are the plays and throws in the Super Bowl that we've seen missed that could have contributed to the 49ers winning. I oftentimes go back to this 3rd and 4, not in the red zone. There was one in regulation. It was a 3rd and 4. 49ers had double slants, and Brock Purdy threw the ball to Jauan Jennings in the first window. Ball gets batted down. In the first window on the outside, he had Brandon Ayuk open on a slant. He didn't throw it to Ayuk. He threw it to Jauan Jennings. Ball gets batted down. You end up having to kick a field goal, and obviously we know that kind of allowed this game to go into overtime. I say that because I think of those moments, and there are all kind of different things that shape out the way a game could potentially turn out. A fumble here and there, or an interception, or maybe a missed field goal. There's all kind of things, but what can we control at the end of the day? And if you convert on that 3rd down, Kansas City never gets the ball back. So I always just look at moments like that where got this opportunity. You don't got to be perfect throughout a game.
Yeah.
Throw an interception, whatever, right? But figure out ways towards the end of the game to either put a team away or make that throw that's going to keep things going to where that other team doesn't get the ball back. And that was a big so I put a little bit more on that. Like, heck, you could throw 2 interceptions earlier in the game, but if on 3rd down late you have an opportunity to close the game out and you make this throw to a guy that converts his route to a go route, or you throw this out to Eric Sauber, he picks up a 1st down, it keeps the drive going, the Rams never get the ball back, you kick a field goal, win the game, then I don't even care about the 2 earlier interceptions. You found a way to win, like he did against the Lions. Do we ever talk about his interception against the Lions in the NFC Championship game? Hell no. Why don't we? Because he figured out to win the game. So at the end of this, in the Super Bowl, we need that too. So I put a little bit more on that. But again, I got so much confidence in Brock Purdy now, even more so after watching how he was able to perform without everybody else at his disposal. And I think 49 fans should be definitely excited about that.
I would say it's a full team loss because the defense, like, how does the Rams almost score 30 points on us with their O-line as in shambles as it was? I don't, that part hurts my feelings, right? So we didn't get an interception. The pressure, like, just, I feel like, again, full team loss. Offense, yes, we had a chance to put it up and win the game offensively, but I feel like the defense didn't help us attain that either. So
the defense did not, and I would say that whether it was the defense, special teams, it was almost like everybody kind of had their hand in the pot on this loss in the 4th quarter. Because prior to the 4th quarter, everybody was playing very, very well for the most part, right? Yeah. And, it was one of those, you had a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter. You're assuming ball game, and special teams had letdowns. Offense had some stalls, drives, and defense gave up big plays. I mean, you just lost every phase. And I know as us, coaching high school football, me and my guy with Desmond Bishop, we talk about this. Anytime there's a turnover and you're near midfield, shot play coming. Shot play is coming. Basically, we're going to take a shot down the field. And the 49ers didn't have a turnover, but they punted the ball and gave up a big return. What did you think was going to happen from there? Those are the times right there where a shot play is coming. You got to be prepared for it. They took a shot. They got, what was it? Number 5. I'm blanking on number 5. Tutu Atwell. Big catch, down the field. There were just some missed opportunities for the 49ers. And it's unfortunate, but
it's all right. We're going to get it this week. Bring on the Patriots. Let's go.
Got to get it together. And I think the Patriots, I'm hoping, are the team to help the 49ers get back on track. And you look at them, it's a team they're missing, not even just missing players, but they just can't really function. Their offensive line hasn't played well. I watched them against the Jets. I'm like, offensive line is terrible. The reason why that was my reaction, offensive line is terrible, because I actually, on Underdog Fantasy, took the over on Jacoby Brissett's passing yards, and he had like 80 yards for the entire game. I mean, but I'm looking at the O-line, I'm like, come on. Like, get this guy some protection. So I know they ain't got much protection with him. The 49ers need a little bit of protection with Christian McCaffrey, and you are going to talk to us about what exactly Christian McCaffrey is going through. So unless you live under a rock, you guys maybe saw the picture on social media floating around. Christian McCaffrey at the airport looking stunned that if somebody recognized Christian McCaffrey flying to Germany. What exactly was he going to Germany for?
It sounds like it's platelet-rich plasma or some kind of regenerative medicine treatment. PRP is another term that you may have heard. PRP is platelet-rich plasma. It's done here in the States as well. Although here in the States, the regulation on it means that we cannot manipulate it. So what platelet-rich plasma is just the fluid, the part of the blood, and the platelets are a cell derivative in it. Platelets help to clot bleeding. So when you cut yourself, they're the cells that come in and clot things up and stop the bleed. And there's also growth factors in there. So they help to calm inflammation, help with the healing process, and all of that. So what the process is, you draw blood and you process it through something called a centrifuge where it separates the cell counts. And you can extract platelets at that point. So you've now condensed them and had a more dense collection of them. And then you're able to then inject them into knees, into people use it for skin. There's lots of different reasons that we use that PRP for. Now, in Germany, they are not held to the same standards that we are here in the States, and they can do different things to manipulate and increase the population, do other things. So he's essentially going over there because there's a little bit more flexibility in the type of treatment that he can get.
Does it speed up the recovery process? Because I think that's what a lot of people are hoping will happen with this.
So
or is this something that's going to prolong the potential recovery of Christian McCaffrey?
When this originally happened and the news broke, I think I tweeted out that I didn't like it. I didn't like hearing that. And mostly because this is not a first line treatment, right? This is when you've exhausted all other avenues of treatment, then you start to look at things like PRP treatment and stem cell therapy. So that's why I didn't particularly love hearing that, because it means that he's not getting to where he needs to be. Like the timeline is just not in progressing in the direction that it needs to. That's what it signified to me. Now, to answer your question, I did this therapy for lung disease, but I've also done it in orthopedic capacity. We used it mostly in our orthopedic practice for early degenerative changes. So arthritic changes that were early, not bone on bone. You don't use it for that because at that point it's so far gone that something like PRP is not going to help. We didn't do a lot of tendon applications for it, but I've looked up some studies and it's basically inconclusive. There's not anything that shows with concrete assurance that he will get resolution with this treatment. But I did find a paper that looked at 5 randomized controls trials, 4 prospective and 2 retrospective studies. They took all of this they did a systematic review of all these studies, and it showed that, and I'll read it verbatim from this paper. It was called "The Use of PRP in Treatment of Achilles Tendinopathy: A Systemic Review of Literature." So their conclusion basically said, although many of the retrospective studies suggested an advantage of using PRP, the higher level of evidence studies do not support a significant efficacy. So there's promise, but no guarantees. And so it goes on to say that this a systematic review showed very promising results from the use of PRP, demonstrated by an significant improvement in VAST-A score. But we certainly need decent sized randomized controls trials to show better and more accurate results. So there's no guarantee, guys. That's the bottom line. The other thing you need to know is stem cells are only as good as what your body produces. So in a study, it's not like taking 500 of Tylenol and testing 500 of Tylenol, because that's the same dose of one type of medication. Stem cells, you can have some people that make great stem cells. So the quality of stem cells that they produce are fantastic. And then you have some people that maybe have chronic diseases or take medications that can impair their stem cell, their platelet-rich plasma. So you can't get everybody's stem cells are so varied, and you can only use your own platelet-rich plasma that the studies are never going to be conclusive, right? Because Eric, your PRP is better than my PRP, but we're in a study together that shows, oh, if we just do the same process, we pull my blood out and I give my platelet rich to me, and you do for you, my result may not be as good because I may not have as good of stem cell quality as you have, or I keep saying stem cell, platelet rich plasma as you do. So it's tricky. I mean, I wish him the best. I hope he finds great treatments. The other question I've been asked is about injecting the Achilles. There's another study that shows, it was like 18 different studies that they looked over for treatment of chronic Achilles tendinopathy and injections. You can't inject or there's higher risk for tendon rupture if you inject Achilles with a cortisone shot. So this is not something that you're like, oh, just shoot them up with some cortisone. There's a chance of rupture. And in fact, in that systematic review, there was a study where there was an incidence of Achilles tendon rupture because one of the injection medications that they were looking at was cortisone. So, I hope he finds some help. I hope he has amazing platelets that will, condense and be injected and do great for him. I mean, we're Niners fans, right? We want the best for him. But I think it's just a tough thing. He had probably the best year he'll ever have in his career last year. It kills me to say that, but it's hard to bounce back from a year like that.
Last one here in the chat. C says, what exactly is Achilles tendonitis?
So Achilles tendonitis it's the tendon that connects your lower leg to your foot, and it allows you to rise up on your toes. That's the Achilles tendon. Anytime you have itis, it means inflammation of. And in fact, when you have a chronic situation like Christian McCaffrey, it's not necessarily that it's inflamed. You have these micro tears. And these micro tears over time fill in with scar tissue, which isn't as pliable. So it becomes it's a tendinopathy versus a tendonitis. So it's more chronic, Achilles tendinopathy. So the hard thing is your Achilles, and you can certainly speak about this, Croc, in terms of usage. Like every step you take requires use of your Achilles tendon. Every jump, every, walking the stairs, all of these things requires, anytime that your foot pushes off the ground, that's your Achilles tendon activating. So for someone who's into running or is having to push a load off and really push off the ground, those are people that are really, they're the ones that are high risk for these Achilles tendon injuries. Runners are another one. So if I didn't already say, I think I already said runners, but anyway, moral of the story is this is not something that's going to go away. There's no magic pill. This is going to be a chronic thing. I would love to see him in a boot. I don't know if he's been in a boot. I don't know if anyone has seen pictures of him in a boot. Why he's not in one is baffling to me. If he hasn't been, and I don't know. I hope they do something for him over there.
All right, y'all. There we have it. Christian McCaffrey, career over. 49ers season done. Is doom and gloom. Nothing to look for here. We'll pack it up and see you guys in 2025. Coach Dezi, I thank you for coming on this morning. Can you let everyone know where they can find all of your work?
Yes, so I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Coach Dezi. I'm also on YouTube, Coach Dezi, but I also have a podcast, Girlfriends of Football, will be on tonight, talking more about this, as well as the Jauan Hargrave triceps tear, and we'll also be talking about the news that broke out about former quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, Brett Favre's diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, and how CTE will be helping with that.
And the only thing that I know about Parkinson's is Muhammad Ali. So I saw how it kind of progressed with him and what it kind of transpired into. And I think we always view older Muhammad Ali, but even like the younger version of him with the Parkinson's, I feel, it set in. I feel like he was, I don't know, in his 50s, maybe, like probably around Brett Favre's age, where he wasn't, it's like, that's not Muhammad Ali. It was kind of that. So, prayers up to Brett Favre. I know he's been taking a lot of heat lately because of some of the things he's done out there in Mississippi. But as far as health goes, I never wish, bad on anyone. So prayers to Brett Favre. And speaking of health, I got to get out of here. I got to hit up the gym and get my health on. So thank you again, everybody. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Underdog Fantasy, download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code Crocky. I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow, but definitely Monday. All right, I'm out. Peace.